Samaritan's very interesting because it's a take on uh, when you are born with supernatural gifts, and then you realize things aren't turning out as well as you thought, and perhaps even tragedy occurs. This superhero says, I've had enough of trying to save society. I can't even save myself. And he goes into hiding for 25 years. And he's just a trash man living this kind of like lonely existence, but okay. And then this young kid comes along. I said, there's something about this old man here that's not ringing true. There's more to it. And he continues to get involved until finally I'm exposed. And I go back and do my hero stuff. I have a knack for that particular kind of mythology, action films, but also has heart and in relation to other people. So they can say, oh, that's like my father and son situation and so on. So I thought there's many, many layers to this. He's like growing a beard and he works trash can, he collects old objects and fixes them. And that's symbolic of him trying to maybe fix himself. And then you have this kid who is kind of a spark plug for the whole movie, the genesis of why the film actually is happening is through his eyes. Samaritan and Nemesis are brothers, and they're quite different. It's almost like a biblical Cain and Abel. They're different. And they start to grow apart until finally they become adversarial. One is trying to keep the city a wonderful place to live, safe, and the other is trying to destroy it and turn it into a corrupt situation, kind of like Batman and Joker. It's your classical adversarial situation, except they're brothers. And then an event happens one night that has some pretty tragic results, and one of the brothers disappears. Well, it's superhero and anti-hero, but these people are vulnerable. They can die. So they're not impervious. I mean, it's hard for me to, how do you root for Superman? I like it and all that, but let's face it, he's pretty bulletproof. Right? These people aren't. And they rely upon extraordinary strength and temperament to do amazing things. But they still have one foot in reality that, yeah, this is, they're not, they don't walk around in uniforms. They're like everyday people that you don't know are there. Kind of like if your neighbor was a vampire, you go, really? Okay. He looks like us. According to the way I approach filmmaking, and when I've been successful at it, is the audience has to identify with the crisis and say, oh, I've been through that, or I can relate to that. And it's called pure and simple empathy. If they're not empathetic to the situation, then emotionally they're not involved. If they're sitting back and they're watching Transformers, they're like, I'm not going to be emotionally involved, but I'm going to enjoy the visual banquet, but my heart's not beating fast, that kind of a thing. So if you can get the emotionality, and that's what this has all the way through. You have a child with no father, and then you have me, isolated, getting older, so there's a combination of very realistic situations coming to fruition. I think it's very timely because we're going through some upheaval, and no one's agreeing with anyone, and cities are being fragmented. And that's exactly what happens here. And when people give up on a city, the badness comes in. And so the bad is taking over Granite City. And it's just a classical format about how do you take back what is yours that you built. And I sort of lead the way, but the whole neighborhood now goes, we got to start doing it on our own, because after the last situation, we don't know where I go. And now they're sort of left on your own. It's really a morality tale, but very, very exciting to watch. In this one here, it was more of trying to regain some quickness, some mobility. This had nothing to do with being actually physical. There's no taking off of his shirt and doing this kind of thing. I wanted to be more invisible. In other words, you wouldn't be able to pick him out and say, oh yeah, look at him, that guy's all yoked up with a big neck. It's pretty obvious. He blends in because that's what he wants to do. He wants to be Joe Smith. I mean, I even chose about the most simple name I could find, Joe Smith. Joe Schmo was taken, unfortunately, but Joe Smith was there. He doesn't relate to the world. He's always been drawn to superheroes, comics, again, mythology. And he just is looking for a male role model. The entire neighborhood is surrounded by bad guys. And he's being bullied and beaten and tortured and harassed the whole time. So he just senses, he goes, this guy, I think he sees me as a father figure. You know, this old guy, there's something there that connects with him, and it's necessary. He really needs it. And that's what happens is I do become this surrogate father, and he becomes the surrogate son, which it's nice. The kid is necessary because there's no real valid reason why I'm so, we'll just say, exiled from life. I mean, yeah, okay, you've had some bad blows, but stop feeling so sorry for yourself. And this kid sort of brings that out of me, which is necessary. So I needed him for growth. Like I was feeling a pity party. You know, I was. I'm trying to think, why would I do this? Why would I stay in the same city and be a garbage man? That's sort of a cry for help. Hey, discover me, but in the meantime, I'm not going to help. But otherwise, if you really didn't want to be part of society, you would have left. You know, gone to some other country. So there's a lot of little things in there, if you read into it, where every character is necessary to support the other character. Rocky would have never been Rocky without Adrian and then the brother Paulie, then Mickey. They were the building blocks. Otherwise, I was just a bum, and he knew he was. Nemesis, in his own twisted way, thinks that he's actually a great advocate for freedom and how the rich have basically held down the poor. So he's trying to twist everything that if you follow his corrupt, weird, violent ways, this is actually be a better city. Kind of reminds you, it's this dictator mentality, and that's what it is. Well, I saw him on Game of Thrones, and he was playing a pirate. I went, I hate this guy. Really dislike him, which means he's doing his job perfectly, because he's not like that. He's a true gentleman as an artist. He's a very conscientious actor on every level. But he has that ability to make you hate him when necessary. But he also has a unique rhythm, and that's hard to duplicate. It's also he has the right voice. When people ask me, like, oh, what's it take to be a good actor? Well, there's so many components. Actor is one thing, but to be like a star, something that's out there, it's not about acting. It has nothing to do with acting. Matter of fact, you can be a bad actor and be a star. It's this thing that it's just an overall package. It's like when you look at a piece of art, you go, why can't I take my eyes off that piece of art? It's not even that good, but it's riveting. That's what he is. You just watch him wherever he goes. He doesn't blend in, okay, ever. He doesn't blend in. I really enjoyed the process because he's a big man with a big heart. He has big ambitions, and he has an ability to see the big picture. So I had seen a couple of films of his previous work, and I thought, wow, this is a really gifted filmmaker who loves the process and who gets this material. This is sort of, it's a smart call for him because this is his wheelhouse, sort of, you know what I mean? It's one thing, everyone thinks they can direct everything. You can't. You focus on what you're really good at, and you're that kind of director. Whether drama, action, Shakespeare, this, that, you name it, comedy. You can't do everything. Well, I can, but then again, I'm rare. I think this movie's going to sneak up on them. It's it's quite different than a bombastic Marvel film. It's a little more grounded in reality, and I believe they're going to be swept up in the actual characters. I know that mother. I know this son. I understand Joe a little bit, and before you know it, they're invested in a personal way as opposed to just wanting to see explosions, which they'll get. But they go, oh, this guy really has a dilemma, or he has insecurities like me, and he's trying to overcome them, or he's guilt. So all the emotions, and that's what I try when I'm on my game. The more of those things I can relate to, and not try to be vain. You know, yeah, it's all about me. No, if it's all about them, it's all about the audiences pushing the story forward because they like it.
This movie is about two superheroes who had an epic battle between Samaritan and Nemesis, and one of them only survived. Sam, my character, he's kind of looking for that Samaritan because they need help in the city at that point, and he ends up finding him, and they have a crazy journey. Sam is a kid who grows up in a pretty rough environment with just his mom. His dad passed away at a very young age, and he's always kind of looked for that father figure, and he finds that a little bit in Joe. And even though he annoys Joe a good bit, he keeps trying to be close with him and, you know, open up with him. And then they go through their own thing together. But yeah. So Samaritan, he was somebody who wanted to clean up the streets to just help people in general. And it's not even that Nemesis was a bad guy. It's that there can't be two superheroes. So Nemesis was kind of set into the bad role. But with Samaritan, he wanted to help people, and he wanted just to benefit everything around him. You know, he wanted to make things better because at the time, Granite City was really messed up. Samaritan and Nemesis had a crazy battle, and only one survived. So I think I would call it a superhero film because it shows that it's not about superheroes wearing capes or these cool flashy suits. It shows the rawness of it, and it shows the imperfections, because you look at superheroes and you're like, oh, that's perfect, you know, like these superheroes are absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with them, you know, so it shows the grittiness and imperfections of the superheroes, and I think that still makes it a superhero movie, for sure. So Sam suspects that Joe is actually Samaritan. He has like this whole thing in his room, and he goes through all of these different people, right? And he's like, all right, so that wasn't Samaritan, I'm gonna look for this guy. And when he meets Joe at the playground, he starts to follow him a little bit and even breaks into his apartment. He does some pretty crazy stuff to see if it's really Samaritan. Man, working with Sly, it was a lot of fun. We talked a lot about boxing. Man, and even just like being able to act with him, like he showed me like improv a little bit better like on set, because like that was like the first time I was able to like really improv on a project that I've done. And just to be able to like know that he had that experience and there's things I can take away from him was really cool. I think Sam is so obsessed with Samaritan, not only because he absolutely loves superheroes and loves comics and likes doing all that and drawing comics and all that, but that he wants that father figure, you know? And then when he finds Joe, he gets that a little bit, because at the end of the day, he only has his mom. And along the way on his journey, he meets some people that are going to better him and that are definitely there to take things from him. So he wants that guidance, that, you know, that's street smart like Joe. Pilou, he plays Cyrus, and Cyrus is a Nemesis lover. He loves Nemesis, you know, like that's his guy. And he gets a little bit of power from you know, the hammer and all that, and just goes absolutely rogue. Like, that was like the last little string of it. But working with him was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working with him. He was a great actor, and there was a lot of things I could take away from him, you know, like just his acting ability just in general. Facial expressions, the way he got into character and scene before the scene, and even like taking a second before really intense scenes he taught me, which was really nice. I think what made Pilou the perfect person to play Cyrus was he got that crazy eyes, you know, and all the other projects he's done, like his acting ability is through the roof. Like, he killed it on Game of Thrones, you know, everything he's done a great job at, so he was definitely perfect for the part. So Dascha, she plays Tiffany, and she is Sam's mom. She only wants what's best for him. Sam gets into a good bit of trouble, and he's really just looking out for his mom, you know, but she doesn't like that he's taking money from Cyrus and stuff like that for doing certain tasks and trying to pay rent for her. She doesn't like that at the end of the day, but he only wants what's best for her, and she only wants what's best for him. I think what audiences can expect is definitely like a touching, heartwarming, but also like insane action scenes. Like, my favorite action scene is when they flipped a dump truck. Like, that was crazy to watch, and knowing that there was like somebody actually driving for that, like, that was insane. I love that one though. That was really cool. It's like a different kind of superhero movie. Like, it isn't like your ordinary superhero movie, and it shows that not all heroes wear capes, which I really like, you know, and the special relationship between Joe and Sam, that their bond becomes really close, and it's really cool to see.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and comment on the video if you enjoyed it. Click and watch our suggested video playlist right now for more entertaining videos. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when new videos are released.